Happy New Year, guys. It is 2018 now. I thought I would take this time to discuss my top 5 favorite films of the year. Now, I'm going to preface this video by saying I have not seen some of the films that people are holding in the highest regard that have, come out within like the last month or something. I haven't seen Star Wars yet, and actually, obviously, that's getting mixed stuff. And it's not because I don't want to. I just haven't got a chance to. Admittedly, I did not like The Force Awakens. Thought it was, quite frankly, garbage. But I could discuss that at a later point. And I was a big fan of Rogue One, though. That was like one of my top 5 favorite films last year. Of 2016, rather. But the point is, the films I'm going to list are the films that touched me the most that I did get a chance to see. I did not see Lady Bird, by the way. Everybody is raving about Lady Bird. I feel like that could be, the new Slumdog Millionaire, where people are like, oh, no, it's not going to win Best Picture, and then it does. Although I will say, Dunkirk keeps getting the number 1 spot on these critics' lists, so it's definitely between those two that's going to win the Oscar this year. I think, at least. And I loved Dunkirk. I did love it. But it did not quite crack my top 5 list, though an excellent film nonetheless. And Christopher Nolan overall is not an overrated director. He deserves much of the praise that he does receive. He's a fantastic innovator. Now, on the list, number 5, Baby Driver. Okay, the minute I saw this trailer, I'm like, this is going to be good. It's going to be good. And the movie was like 5 times as good as I would have even expected. Like, it looked great, but it was just on the verge of really perfection. Edgar Wright is such a great director. He did that trilogy with the 2 British dudes. You know what I'm talking about. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and the World's End, I think it was. There's At World's End and The World's End. They came out around the same time. That was just amazing. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was awesome. But this was just his best work. And incredible writing. And may I say, Mr. Wright, probably the best use of coordinating songs and scenes. I mean, it's just never quite been done like this in film. Not in Scorsese movies, not in Tarantino movies. It's just that you just have to see it to believe it. Everybody gave wonderful performances. I didn't even have to worry about our main guy, Baby. I've seen him in his other films, the Divergent films. I thought he was good, and I thought he was great, and always had a bright future after The Fault in Our Stars. So I can't wait to see him do even more. He was just wonderful, and Jamie Foxx, John Hamm, they were exceptional. Some of their best work in this film. And Kevin Spacey. 2017 happened, and Kevin Spacey's ruined, and for good reason. Fuck him personally, but he gave a great performance in this film, and just about every film he ever starred in. It's not like we'll be seeing him anymore. Anyway, number 4 would be Wonder Woman. So, if you know me, you know I'm a big fan of the DC Cinematic Universe. I loved Man of Steel. I didn't even know it was receiving poor reviews when it came out, because that wasn't just as much of a big deal back then, but it was mixed. and I just loved it. I thought it was fantastic when I saw it. I love Batman versus Superman to death. I don't care what you say. It's still amazing. Suicide Squad, loved it. And now Wonder Woman. Wonderful. An excellent film. So, Gal Gadot just nailed it. So good. Best actress material here. I think it's Chris Pine was like legitimately just best supporting actor material. His character was so excellent in this film. I loved his character. I loved him as the character. The film does what I often have a problem with Marvel films. The humor was just so well-timed and established, but it didn't take away from the wonder and mystique of the film. It would never place it in moments where it was inappropriate, not in the middle of a fight, not in the middle of anything that was unnecessary. And a far superior film as well to Justice League. I have to throw that in there. Justice League wanted to be a Marvel movie, and it wasn't even as good as a lot of the Marvel movies. And I hate saying that. It was the saddest. I was just so sad. Anyway. Also, I have to add with Wonder Woman, one of the most beautiful films of the year. Gorgeous cinematography and visuals. Stunning. The music by Rupert Gregson-Williams in this film is astonishing. That's my dog back there, Palomina. Isn't that a good girl? Yeah, she's a little nervous. But, anyway. I'm just a big fan of all that. I just thought it was wonderful. Now, number 3. War of the Planet of the Apes. I thought Rise of the Planet of the Apes was awesome. I thought Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was like one of the best movies ever. And this one topped Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in how incredible it was. I mean, just obviously Andy Serkis is just amazing. Like, he can give a performance as an ape in CGI and give like some fucking Daniel Day-Lewis type shit. Just incredible acting, and just he was wonderful in this movie. The cinematography, breathtaking. Scenery, breathtaking. Just let us not forget, though, Woody Harrelson in his best performance to date, in my opinion. I loved it. I mean, he was this weird, less insane, more subdued Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now. Like, it's definitely what he was going for, but it was just worked so well. Like, everything, this movie is just, I've said it many times, it's kind of reminiscent of Apocalypse Now and Schindler's List, and with apes. It's like, it's just that good, and it works. It takes a lot of influence from Apocalypse Now, but not in a way that makes me angry. And that's like one of my top 5 favorite movies, so I could be like, oh, it's a ripoff, but it's not. It's very different. It's a brilliant film. 10 out of 10 would recommend go see it again. Well, go rent it again, because it's on DVD now. Number 2, Blade Runner 2049. This film just walked out of that theater just speechless. So easily the most beautiful film of this year. That is just undeniable for me. Gorgeous in every way. It's like the number one thing I think about. Gorgeous. And the score, potentially the best score of the year. Taking much influence from Vangelis. I'm I'm sorry. I love him to death. Taking much influence from the original Blade Runner score and doing it in its own individual way. And just, it works so well. Also, the stunning use of of being quiet, like a Stanley Kubrick movie. Just how insanely subtle some scenes are where they're just talking to each other and it's very quiet. It feels so real. Yet it's taking place 30 years from now, and I'm sure it's not going to look like that, but hey, also very complex. We need more complex movies again. I just don't see them enough anymore. This movie really makes you think. It's a movie you're going to need to see a couple times. And finally, at number 5, finally, at number 1, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. This is an important film, a must-see, I believe, for most people. This film is discussing so many of the issues at hand in our country, whether it be with the police system, whether it be with racism, sexism. I mean, racism subtly is brought up a couple times, sexism, just alcoholism, you name it. Even mental illness. I mean, all of it is just addressed so well in this movie. And it makes you question, what the right thing is to do in certain situations. And it makes you ponder. It makes you think. As soon as I left the theater with my cousin and his friend, we spent 10 minutes at least talking about this movie nonstop and how great it was. And to boot, after the issues addressed in the film, the acting makes it, and writing, they coincide. They're so important to one another. Just the way that the character's dialogue is presented, but the story that's told, and I mean, they're equally good in that respect. And these actors give some of the greatest performances of their career. I think both Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell have given their greatest performance in this film. Absolutely. And, even side characters. That one guy that was in Get Out early this year, who was the brother of the girlfriend in Get Out. Yeah, he's in this movie and he's awesome. By the way, Get Out, I loved Get Out. So, if this was like a top 10 list, Get Out would be on there. Big fan of Get Out. Thought it was a wonderful movie. But, it's my list. Mine. So, it's not quite top 5. But a wonderful film that you should check out as well. So that was just great. And, let's see. Anything else very important to address? I mean, I guess you could just say everything was done right in this film. I think it is a perfect movie. One of the best of the decade. Certainly one of the most important movies released in recent years that people need to watch. They need to. It's important for our future that we think about these things. I think it can change people's perspectives and thoughts and ideas. And I love this film so much. I can't wait to see what this director is up to next. He also made In Bruges, one of the best movies ever, in my opinion. And so is this one. even better than in Bruges, actually, in my opinion. And that's a lot. This is a lot about this film's quality. And you'll just have to see it to believe it. I think I'm just going to leave all that there. Maybe some honorable mentions. Let's go back. We had Sleight, a film that would definitely crack my top 10 of the year. I just have it in the mail coming my way. Sleight is an excellent indie movie that nobody saw, that they all need to see, about a magician who is, struggling in the hood or poor neighborhood, but it is in LA. And during the day, he is a magician. At night, he does drug deals because he does magic stuff to not give people actual drugs. So he's like a good-hearted person. It was a wonderful movie. Like, indie, but just beyond that, around the end, it becomes kind of just more than your average. I won't say average, but it becomes more than your indie film, than feeling like an indie film, I should say. And, that one's very much worth mentioning, because it just was not discussed. I already mentioned Get Out. Just so much of everything that's, issues that are going on are discussed in this film, and obviously as a directed sort of horror-inspired movie, it very much achieves that. I think early this year, a movie that was incredibly shat on review-wise was A Cure for Wellness. Admittedly, the last half hour gets a little bit, I don't want to say necessarily far-fetched, but a little bit like you're pushing it there. But overall, as a directed movie, awesome. And acted amazing. Dane DeHaan, dude. Dane DeHaan. He's always awesome. I think I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you think of all these movies, or if you've seen these movies, or if you didn't like any of these movies, and why all that is. I'd be very interested to hear, and, in 2018, I'm going to try and be less stubborn and arrogant. That wasn't necessarily a New Year's resolution last night, but, why not be less arrogant and stubborn? This list is obvious, to the point where this list is obviously changeable, and I can see people's perspectives as to why they would not care for these movies, or not love them like I do. So, just let me know all that stuff. A wonderful year, okay? People were talking a lot about how awful 2017 was. But I grew a lot last year, and I'm sure a lot of other people did as well. Hard times are good times to grow. 2016 was one of my worst years, like a lot of other people, but it was a great year for growth, and there were some good times. Remember the good times in hard times, when you have that one glimmer of hope. So enjoy these movies, and enjoy 2018, and if possible, enjoy your life as a whole. You got one. If you're depressed or sad, take steps to make it better. I'm so sorry for the ranting and imbecile just behavior. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Have a great year. Love you.